It can get lonely climbing Mount McKinley, so to entertain myself, I go to ChumbaCasino.com. At Chumba Casino, I can play hundreds of online casino-style games for free, like online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Plus, I get a daily login bonus. It's just too bad that up here, I don't have anyone to share my excitement with. Woohoo!
Live the Chumba life. Anytime, anywhere. Play for free now at ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
It is time to leave your worries outside and laugh with us inside the Treehouse. It is our Christmas show, our last live show of the year. The rest of the show will be full of merriment and best of. And just FYI, best of is truly that. It's some really, really, really good stuff. Every single segment you will enjoy because it's best of. Yes, Trey?
It's best of, and we don't have to pull 60 days a year worth of it.
Some days is 90. Actually, to be honest, when it hit 60, we're like, I just F it, we'll go live. Tired. There were a couple of times where we looked around, we're like, we're out of best stuff. We're just going to do the show. Anyway, today is Monday, December 23rd, 2024, the day before Christmas Eve, which is the day before Christmas. That makes this our last live show of the year, and thus making it our holiday show or Christmas show if you're so worried about Christmas getting canceled. We have a lot in store for you today, including the heist of St. Nick. You do not want to miss this two-part story inside the Treehouse. The true story about the heist of St. Nicholas. But first, this might be the last Christmas that you can buy stocking stuffers and mom stuffers at CVS. That's because a Texas state legislator wants to ban sex toys from family-friendly retailers like CVS, Walmart, and Target, which leaves some of us to say, I didn't realize CVS, Walmart, and Target had sex toys, but apparently they do.
We talked about that CVS sells vibrators and things.
That's an aisle I don't think I've typically go down. Usually when I go to CVS, it's for some toothpaste and Celsius or maybe some ibuprofen.
I didn't know they had a vibrator aisle either.
We actually, I think it was at the live show we did in Arlington. We talked about, because I was quite stunned that they had adult toys in CVS. But yeah, but
I know they have the dirt, like the Trojan like things.
No, these are like full on. You'd find at New Fine Arts type stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
This new bill is proposed by incoming Republican Texas State Representative and former PTA Vice President Hillary Hicklin. The bill would limit the sale of such items to sex shops and strip clubs only.
Strip clubs?
Yeah, I don't think you want those at strip clubs.
I
don't think you're allowed to have those at strip clubs.
I mean, I guess it's a new income stream for strip clubs.
That's not the only stream at the club.
Well,
That's going to change the lap dance game.
They really will.
Sure.
I don't think this representative realizes the loophole that she's opening by saying that. But anyway, and our great state, the Lone Star State, we do have a bit of a history when it comes to limiting or even banning sex toys. In 1973, then state legislators passed a law banning the sale of sex toys anywhere in Texas. That was updated and softened in 2003 to allow their sale, but made it a crime to own 6 or more devices. But in 2008, that law was declared unconstitutional and thus pulled out. There has been some pushback to this bill. State Senator Nathan Johnson slammed the potential law as a, quote, grotesque display of misplaced priorities. And a newly elected Republican district attorney, Sarah Stogner, was critical of the idea on social media. Responding to a tweet from Hickland, she wrote on X, "I see you're still obsessed with dildos. Perhaps you should buy one and try it. Might make you feel less uptight." That, by the way, I'm pretty sure is true, especially because of who said it. Because if that name, Sarah Stogner, sounds familiar to you, it's because she first shot to fame on the back of a pump jack in a viral TikTok she made while running for a spot on the Railroad Commission. Jesus, this story has more layers than an orgy. Texas politics is fun, man.
Mm-hmm.
We usually stay out of it, but when it's this juicy.
Literally.
Yeah, you would really hope the legislature has better things to do than this stupid ass bill.
I'm a firm believer, by the way. I swear I should have done like an over under on puns in this segment, but I am a firm believer in government can do two things at once. Like if you're doing one thing and you get outraged, they're not doing this other thing. I believe government can, or at least has the ability to do two things at once. They don't typically, but they at least could if they really, really wanted to. So I get the argument on the whole priorities thing. So I sort of look at it as you can have this type of sort of a pet bill or project or cause as long as you get the really big stuff taken care of.
Yeah, which they won't. I mean, and mind you, this is a body that meets once every other year. Mm-hmm. So in those 18 months off, or if this is newly elected, please tell me you ran on something more profound.
She's running this Sarah. I'm not Sarah. Hillary Hickland ran and was elected on. A big part of her platform was the protection of children.
Okay.
Reforming schools and public schools and how they're funded. Protecting the border. The standard Republican stuff. So that was how she got elected. And this is one of those things that's, I guess, near and dear to her heart, because I checked out her social media profile on X, and she mentions in there a number of times how kids should be able to pick out a toothbrush without seeing sex toys next to them. To which my response is, what CVS are you going to where the orifice aisles have crossed streams? Because they don't usually put the below the waist stuff with the mouth stuff. That's usually different aisles altogether. But yeah.
I'm gonna go to CVS today. I have to
go now while you can.
Yeah, I have to see. I've never seen the stuff there.
Yeah.
And
I will be fair, Walgreens too.
Yeah, CVS, Walgreens, family-friendly retailers. Target would be included in this. Walmart, any of the stores that have these
in Target.
Look usually around where they sell condoms and stuff.
All right. Yep. Y'all's Targets are different than mine.
I think it's just a matter of what's on your list when you go to Target.
That's okay. That's true.
I will say this though: if this new law passes, the come and take it flag is going to get a hell of a makeover.
Or it's going to have some new things flying out of it.
Can't wait to get that new shirt.
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Recently, a new client called me and started by saying, "Mr. Morgan, I really need your help, but I'm just a nobody." Those words stunned me, and I immediately called him back, and we're now helping him and his family after a terrible accident. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Everybody who comes to our firm at their time of need is a somebody. I grew up poor, but my grandmother was like a queen to us. At Morgan & Morgan, our goal is to level the playing field for you and your family at your time of need. The insurance company has unlimited money and resources. You need a firm who can fight them toe-to-toe. For right at 30 years, we have fought them in courtrooms throughout America. Our results speak for themselves. And always remember this, everybody is a somebody, and nobody is a nobody. Visit forthepeople.com to learn about our firm. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
You're listening to The Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
This is The Treehouse, and we are in the middle of our very special Christmas show inside The Treehouse. I'm Dan, along with Trey and Raj. And Trey, I want to give you a very sincere thank you for finding the next article we are going to share inside The Treehouse. This is a story that I've never heard before, and I imagine most people haven't.
Yeah.
And so we are now going to share that story with you. But first, think about how I want to word this. Oh, yeah. How in the did you find this story?
I don't even remember.
I'll accept that.
Okay.
Because as you hear this, you also are going to wonder how Trey found this story. But at the same time, you will be grateful for it. All right. All right. So if everybody is ready, today in the Treehouse, we want to tell you about a Christmas story that doesn't make it into the carols. It's an Ocean's 11 style heist with a Spaceballs inspired act of desecrating a man's corpse, but real and stuff. This is The Heist of St. Nick, written by M.T. Anderson for Slate Magazine. The Heist of St. Nick. It is a fact, strange but true, that Santa Claus's corpse was stolen from its tomb. Though Christmas carols and claymation specials have for some reason neglected the heist of St. Nick's dead body, the details of that theft actually can tell us a lot about myth-making and the power of stories, however bizarre, to shape reality. Plus, it's just a good tale to tell at holiday parties. The gist of it is this. In 1087, two Italian cities, Venice and Bari, raced to be the first to steal the bones of St. Nicholas, known to us as Santa Claus, from a basilica in what is now southern Turkey. Why? Because the corpse supposedly wept a magical liquor that would cure all ills if you drank it or rubbed it on your body. What some people now do with Jägermeister. Anyway, St. Nicholas was a real catch. Forget everything you know about Santa Claus. Almost everything we associate with him, the North Pole, the sled, the reindeer, is a 19th century confection laid on top of a much older and sterner figure. The historical Nicholas was Bishop of Myra, a merchant city on the turquoise coast on the edge of the Mediterranean and Aegean seas. He was supposedly imprisoned and tortured during the Great Persecution of the Emperor Diocletian. After his death, stories accumulated around him. He had fought demons. He sniffed out a serial killer who was pickling boys in his meat locker. He had saved 3 girls from prostitution by throwing bags of gold through their window late at night, a legend that is the origin of his role as a gift giver to children. And he had saved many sailors by flying through the sky to their aid during storms, calming the waves, trimming the sails, grasping the drowning by their hair, and teleporting them to land. For Venice and Bari, coastal cities on the eastern side of the boot in the north and south, respectively, and dependent on the merchant ships arriving and departing from all over the known world, it would be invaluable to have a shrine devoted to St. Nicholas, the patron saint of sailors. Businessmen from all over Europe would choose your port to set out from if they knew they could kneel at the altar of this champion of mariners. It was the best of good luck, a guarantee of calm seas and a prosperous voyage. That was the thinking of a group of grain merchants on a routine run between Bari and the Syrian city of Antioch, which you may remember from the first Gladiator movie. Sitting around one blustery day as they crossed the Mediterranean on their 3 ships, they discussed the idea of stealing the saint's bones when they passed Myra, where he was buried. And it was a good time to do it. The Christian city located in present-day Turkey had just been invaded by the Seljuk Turks. The whole region was in turmoil. This was the time to slip in and steal the body. It turned out, though, they were not the only ones with this bright idea. As they discussed it in the seaside taverns of Antioch, again from Gladiator, where they were loading their return cargo, some Venetian sailors overheard and boasted that they, in fact, were about to plunder the tomb. They had all the equipment at the ready, crowbars, shovels, and mallets. They were heading there on their way home to Italy. Now, the Bari sailors had been a little anxious about stealing the corpse. He was a holy man, after all, and saints were supposed to hover around their relics. If you steal relics and the saint does not want to go with you, it's not a theft. It's technically a kidnapping. The fury of a maritime saint could lead to storms, maelstroms, krakens, all sorts of disasters. But now that the Venetians had thrown down the gauntlet, all the reservations disappeared. Venice and Bari were great economic rivals, and Venice had been getting the upper hand with sweet trade deals and a powerful navy. Bari, the scrappy underdog, was determined to get its own back. So the 3 Barese grain ships set out for Myra immediately, hoping to steal the body of St. Nicholas before the Venetians knew what was happening. And it must have been an eerie sight when they anchored at Myra. Turkish and Turkmen raiders, not to be confused with the Tusken Raiders from Star Wars, had swept down out of the mountains a couple of years before. The city itself was now deserted, all its population huddled in a fortress up on a nearby hill, surrounded by the tombs of their ancestors. And they were probably paying tribute to the Turks, some kind of protection money, but the truce was uneasy and they rarely ventured out of the fortress. This meant only 4 monks guarded the tomb of St. Nicholas down in the city, carrying on their ancient duties, filling decorative glass vials with the ooze that drizzled from his corpse. Cautiously, the Bari sailors assembled a task force of 47 who would march on the church, armed with swords for protection and sledgehammers for breaking into the tomb. A skeleton crew of 20-odd would stay behind and guard the 3 ships in case the Turks noticed them and got hostile. The Turks, according to one source, also worshipped the tomb of Nicholas. They had been Islamized for only a few decades, and apparently felt that a holy man was a holy man regardless of his precise sect. For both Christians and the newly converted Turkish Muslims in the period, there was an almost shamanic magical property to the holy dead that went far beyond doctrine. When the Barese thieves reached the walled compound that included the Nicholas Church and its abandoned monastery, they posted guards to watch the crossroads and make sure no one was coming to stop them. When the sailors went into the church, the 4 guardians assumed they were pilgrims stopping off in the middle of a trade route to ask for a prosperous voyage and buy a vial of the Nick liquor. After all, there was a couple of priests with them. It seemed likely enough that they were on pilgrimage. It only took a few minutes, however, before the sailors' questions about where the body was stashed started to seem a little too pointed. Suspicious, one of the guardians demanded, "Why do you ask all these questions? Can it be that you want to take the body? Don't you know that we cannot possibly agree to such a thing? In fact, we would rather die than permit him to be taken." At first, the Bari crew tried lies. They claimed they'd only been sent by the Pope to seize the body, and they tried bribery, 100 gold pieces for the bones. They were horrified. The guards were. St. Nicholas's body had lain under the floor of their church for 700 years. It defined the city of Myra, and they were not about to give it up. So the thieves decided it was time to use force. This was a big step. They were in a holy place. They were worried about curses. Nonetheless, they grabbed the 4 guardians and tied them up. They sent men out into the courtyard to watch for resistance, and then, in superstitious fear, they asked their own priests, seeing a few chants, asking Nicholas for permission to steal him. The heist of St. Nick will continue after a word from our sponsors.
Hey!
You're listening to the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Recently, a new client called me and started by saying, "Mr. Morgan, I really need your help, but I'm just a nobody." Those words stunned me, and I immediately called him back, and we're now helping him and his family after a terrible accident. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Everybody who comes to our firm at their time of need is a somebody. I grew up poor, but my grandmother was like a queen to us. At Morgan & Morgan, our goal is to level the playing field for you and your family at your time of need. The insurance company has unlimited money and resources. You need a firm who can fight them toe-to-toe. For right at 30 years, we have fought them in courtrooms throughout America. Our results speak for themselves. And always remember this: everybody is a somebody, and nobody is a nobody. Visit forthepeople.com to learn about our firm. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
Welcome inside the Treehouse. I'm Dan O'Malley, along with Trey Trenholm and Raj Sharma. We were in the middle of something. We now return to the heist of St. Nick. A young hothead named Mateo was sick of playing nice. He walked to the point in the floor where there was apparently a hole for drawing out the sacred oil up from St. Nicholas's corpse, and he started battering it with his hammer. Soon, other sailors were feeling bolder, and they all joined in. They bashed apart the marble floor of the basilica and found under it a sarcophagus. Damn it, I messed up that word. And they found under it a sarcophagus. There is some possibility that St. Nicholas's sarcophagus survives to this day with holes drilled in its scalloped lid to draw out the oil and, tellingly, to pour holy oil in. It appears that this was the method by which the oil was renewed. The guardians of the body were pressing their own olive oil in the compound, infusing it with local myrrh, and pouring it through a siphon into the sarcophagus where it would be irradiated by the holiness of the sacred bones and could then be packaged for resale. Yum. Back to Mateo. He smashed the lid of the sarcophagus. The sailors found that the whole box was welling with dark oil. Unfazed, Mateo dunked his arms into the oil and felt around for the bones. He was frustrated. He couldn't find the skull, which was obviously the real get. To the horror of everyone who looked on, he lowered himself into the bath of oil, drenching his clothes in sacred ichor, or ichor, however you say it, and fumbled around, feeling for the saint's head. I'd like to take a brief moment and tell everyone again, this is a real story. Now back to it. Modern investigation of the bones suggests that in the process, he almost certainly shattered the ribs and pelvis of St. Nicholas, which he must have been kneeling on. When, Mateo found the skull. He handed it up, and the two priests connected to the heist carefully lay it on a cloak to be folded up with the other long bones. As quickly as possible, the crew wrapped up their ill-gotten gains and made for the exit as the four guardians wailed pleas and threats and cursed behind them. The armed band walked back through the deserted city of Mira toward their ships. They would have gotten there without incident, except, of course, there's no honor among thieves. They had to stop and argue about whose ship would actually carry the corpse. While they argued, one of the guardians made his way up to the fortress where the Christian population of Mira hid and sounded the alarm. The people of Mira had suffered enough. Their city had been overrun. They'd been locked up in their fortress for a year, maybe longer, paying tribute so they could at least go out in the day to tend to their fields and whatever livestock was left. And now their saint, their city's one claim to fame, was being carried off by some hooligans from the heel of the Italian boot. They poured out of their fortress and charged down through the streets of the city, screaming in rage. At this, the sailors picked up the pace, trotting toward their ships, which were pulled up on shore to the south of the city. The bones, wrapped in a bundle like Santa Claus's bag of toys, slapped up and down on the back of the priest who carried them, drizzling grease down his back. The townspeople reached the ships too late. The crew had already scampered aboard, I wish it was through the snow. The people of Myra demanded the bones back. They wailed in sorrow that their city saint was about to sail away to foreign lands. Some even cursed Nicholas himself, the father of the city, for abandoning his children, but nothing would persuade the thieves. They pushed off and started to row towards open waters. Men and women plunged into the sea behind them, grabbing at the ship's oars. Back on shore, they found one of the holy guardians and blamed him for letting the Italians snatch the saint. So they beat him to death on the shore. Christmas. But the ships were getting farther away. The sailors were almost mocking as they pulled away from Myra. They would not have an easy voyage home. Some of the sailors would steal joints and fragments of the saint, a transgression that, as they believed, caused them to suffer through storms and almost capsize. But the saint was theirs. They drove a hard bargain when they got home to Bari. All of them were to get a cut of the pilgrim income for those who came to pray to the saint, which is one of the reasons we know about the heist. Not only do we have a couple of narratives written a few weeks or months after they got back, but a full financial account of the annual payments that were still being made to their families 80 years later. A decade after the heist in the mid-1090s, the Emperor of Byzantium, frustrated at the Turkish invasion of his lands to the east, including the region around Myra, asked the kings of Western Europe to send armies to assist him in pushing back the Turks. The barbarian monarchs of the West sent hordes east, a counter-invasion we call the First Crusade. It was the beginning of 2 centuries of senseless bloodshed in the Middle East that forever tainted Muslim-Christian relations, a series of disastrous massacres and incompetent defeats that still swells the hearts of contemporary white supremacists with pride. Many of the expeditions set out from Bari where the soldiers could pray to Nicholas for calm seas and prosperous voyage. The city thrived as invasion forces supplied themselves at the merchant stalls of the port of St. Nicholas and set forth on their mission of destruction. And what about those Venetians, the city's great rivals? What happened when they got to Myra and demanded the bones back? That's a story for another Christmas, and this has been the story about the heist of St. Nick. Now, we've all learned a little something.
How have we never come up with a liquor or at least a shot called Nick Liquor?
Because if you have too many and you say that wrong, you don't want to slur on that shot.
You're listening to the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
And let it be said, we still know what the greatest story ever told is, but this may be a close second.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
Recently, a new client called me and started by saying, "Mr. Morgan, I really need your help, but I'm just a nobody." Those words stunned me, and I immediately called him back. And we're now helping him and his family after a terrible accident. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Everybody who comes to our firm at their time of need is a somebody. I grew up poor, but my grandmother was like a queen to us. At Morgan & Morgan, our goal is to level the playing field for you and your family at your time of need. The insurance company has unlimited money and resources. You need a firm who can fight them toe-to-toe. For right at 30 years, we have fought them in courtrooms throughout America. Our results speak for themselves. And always remember this: everybody is a somebody, and nobody is a nobody. Visit forthepeople.com to learn about our firm. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
You are in the Treehouse. Thank you for joining us for our very special Christmas episode. I will say that the story about the heist of St. Nicholas is a little long, but it's pretty good. And maybe in the future, if we ever decide to tell it again, find a way to condense it a little bit more than what we already did. But what was it you noticed, Raj?
Well, when you messed up the word sarcophagus, I was like, man, you don't want to mess up Nick Liquor. I'm just saying that's a bad way to end that story.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those that after I read through it the first time, about halfway, I was like, you know what? I need to read this at least twice all the way through out loud, just in case.
Yeah, because there's
some tricky spots.
Yeah, there's Nick Liquor and then there's white supremacy is in there somewhere, and I'm like, you don't want to combine those two. I mean, they would, but you don't.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, no doubt about that. All right, so there you have the great heist of St. Nicholas. Again, a true story, which is still fascinating to me. That being said, I know it's Christmas and everything, and there are other holidays that are happening, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, but there's also Festivus. And I didn't know until recently that our very own Trey Trenholm celebrates Festivus. Now, in case you don't know what Festivus is, it's a secular holiday that originated in the 1997 Seinfeld episode, The Strike. In that episode, George Costanza's father, Frank, introduces Festivus as an alternative to Christmas, created to protest the commercialization of the season, which, by the way, Festivus is celebrated on December 23rd, which is today. Some of the traditions of Festivus include no tree. Instead of a Christmas tree, you get an undecorated aluminum pole. There's the airing of grievances. During dinner, each person takes a turn sharing how the others have disappointed them in the past year. And finally, feats of strength. After dinner, there's a wrestling match where the head of the household must be pinned. Festivus is fun, man. It really is.
That's just a Indian dinner.
That's a Southern family reunion. Mm-hmm. With lots of Nick Liquor. But again, I'm fascinated by finding out that my friend Trey, that I've been friends with for over 20 years, you're a Festivus celebrator. And so you went through this entire past year and found your complaints, and hopefully not how Raj and I have disappointed you, although it's possible. But maybe just complaints in general.
Well, complaints in general, and found a source that had compiled some good ones. Some of these heavy on Florida. So,
is this a Florida Festivus?
It's a Tampa Bay Times Festivus.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I guess the entire state would be just too much.
Well, it's internet, so it comes from all over, but there are at times some heavy Florida influences, which gives you. I need to say that because it has to give you some perspective for some of the things.
Gotcha.
You'll hear.
All right, so what do you got?
All right, so start off with just some that just made me laugh, and then kind of end with the top 5. Spotify Wrapped shows your year review, but misses a whole month of listening. Never seen a Christmas song on the Spotify Wrapped.
That's true, because that stuff always comes out mid-December, and it's based on 11 months worth of data. That's an excellent point.
I'm sick of shorter and shorter seasons of shows. I demand every show have a minimum of 10 episodes a year. Why is 2019 Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker so bad? You resurrected the 30-year dead emperor so he could be the grandpa of this 19-year-old?
Oh God, yeah, it reminds me of one of the greatest memes I saw after that movie came out. That third one, The Rise of Skywalker, where it's like the original movies. It's like the Force flows through you, blah blah blah. Cut to J.J. Abrams. The Force comes from the balls.
Artificial intelligence. It's no match for natural stupidity.
Amen.
It is the year of our Lord 2024, and we still change the clocks twice a year.
Maybe not for long. Yeah. Maybe not for long. They could have passed it this last year, by the way. They could have passed it. But now I guess they want to make sure that Trump gets credit for it, so maybe they'll pass it this year. I don't care. pass the damn thing. We're all sick of changing the clocks.
Well, then the big debate now is which one do you go to? Because a lot of people want to do that where you would keep it where it gets darker earlier. And then other people are like, no, let's have it darker later. So that's a whole nother controversy.
So there's the great divide: morning people versus night people.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, that's that's going
to
be interesting.
So for those of you who don't know, Publix is a big grocery store chain in Florida.
It's like their version of HEB.
Yes. The Publix cashier that provides play-by-play on every item she rings up. Oh, I love this popcorn. These chicken tenders look so good. Next time, I'm buying condoms, Miralax, and Imodium AD as I await breathlessly to hear her extol their virtues.
My buddy got fired from a Trader Joe's on his first day because the lady showed up with a bottle of wine and a cucumber. And he goes, we've all had days like that. That's 100% true story. He got fired his first day. They're like, you got to go.
Oh. He's just throwing his hands up as they escort him out, going, "What? Just spitting the truth."
We've all had days like that.
Just throwing facts.
Two shoppers having a cart reunion in the middle of the aisle. Sorry to interrupt your third diatribe about your least favorite kid, but I need to grab some paprika.
That's one that drives me nuts. And that's not limited to a grocery store. That's just people being completely unaware of their surroundings and inconsiderate.
Why is it there's no job requirements to run a government agency, but if I want a job at Outback Steakhouse, I need 3 years experience?
Truth. Yeah.
Blooming onion is pretty complicated.
The number of flamingo pictures, posters, sculptures, signs, and decorations versus actual flamingos in Florida is outrageous. I'd wager that maybe 1% of the county has actual flamingos.
Flamingos, it turns out, are sorry for the pun, but they're kind of flighty and they're kind of hard to find.
I hate full-size flags on cars. I don't want to get killed Final Destination style because some dude figured tinfoil and some electrical tape was good enough to secure what's essentially a sail attached to a spear for interstate travel.
That's not going to MAGA very good.
That's not.
I don't know if I can take any more. That was really good.
I can't stand when the plastic part of a clothing tag lingers on the fabric and it decides to start poking me on a random Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, man. Those tags.
I love Festivus.
Yeah.
I feel great, man. Just dancing around this aluminum pole. I can't wait to see who gets pinned.
All right. Oh. The Swanson Meatloaf family pack now only feeds a family of 2.5.
I've made my way through a whole lasagna by myself from Swanson.
Timothy
You were a
Chalamet.
latchkey kid. We get it.
Timothy Chalamet. I still don't like him, but he's growing on me. And that comes with its own pains.
As someone who's currently watching Dune 2, I relate to that.
My closest Taco Bell closed for several weeks for renovations. Nobody is going to Taco Bell for the scenery or atmosphere. Serve me tacos from the back of an old van. I don't care. Just don't close for weeks at a time.
Oh, my head hurts.
Yeah, mine too.
Oh, I love Festivus.
why can't we have a universal standard for which direction you must twist those little wires that are used to close bags of bread?
And how is it that sometimes you think you got it figured out one direction, somehow it reverses in the middle? That's not even supposed to be scientifically possible.
I bet I've wasted 1,000 hours of my life twisting those things in the wrong direction before discovering I was going the wrong way.
Oh, my head.
You're listening to the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
Recently, a new client called me and started by saying, Mr. Morgan, I really need your help, but I'm just a nobody. Those words stunned me, and I immediately called him back, and we're now helping him and his family after a terrible accident. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Everybody who comes to our firm at their time of need is a somebody. I grew up poor, but my grandmother was like a queen to us. At Morgan & Morgan, our goal is to level the playing field for you and your family at your time of need. The insurance company has unlimited money and resources. You need a firm who can fight them toe-to-toe. For right at 30 years, we have fought them in courtrooms throughout America. Our results speak for themselves. And always remember this, everybody is a somebody, and nobody is a nobody. Visit forthepeople.com to learn about our firm. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
You can visit us online at treehouseonair.com. You can visit us online at treehouseonair.com. And while you're there, the microphone on the lower right-hand corner, you can click on that to send us some feedback. Leave us a message. Treehouse feedback right there, lower right-hand corner. Use that microphone on our website, treehouseonair.com, just like one person did. And if you had to guess who the first person would be to leave us Treehouse feedback throughout the entirety of the listener base of this program over a couple of decades, who do you think that would be? Trey?
Robert
Powell. That is correct. Robert Powell, bless you, sir. Longtime listener, many-time caller. He's the first to leave us Treehouse feedback right here inside the Treehouse, so let's allow him to do so.
Hey, it's Robert. The Catholic Church, this is regarding Thursday's show, the Catholic Church will probably have a lot more money from donations if they'd handle that whole raping kids problem a little bit better.
Yeah. He's responding back to us talking about how the Pope or the church was talking about how they're low on donations and near bankruptcy. And maybe we thought maybe that's the reason why he was wandering around Rome and opening up random doors, thinking they'll find some cash. But Robert brings up a great point. Donations go down if people feel like you're mishandling the funds or that they're just contributing to the payouts to the kids that you've diddled.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Robert. We appreciate the first Treehouse feedback. I don't want to call it a Christmassy version, but it's churchy at least. Today is Monday, December 23rd, 2024. Let's celebrate with some Christmas birthdays. I didn't really bother with the 23rd birthdays because to me, the only birthday on December 23rd that ever mattered was my papa's, but he passed away many years ago. May he continue to rest in peace. Besides, if he was alive today, he'd be 103 years old. So I think it's better for all of us that he is where he is. Birthdays for Christmas Eve, if you're curious. We've got Ryan Seacrest. He's 50. Ryan Seacrest finally hits the big 5-0 on Christmas Eve. Ricky Martin turns 53. Diedrich Bader turns 58. Played Greg Otto on American Housewife, was Jethro in the Beverly Hillbillies movie, was the neighbor in Office Space who said if he won the lottery, he'd do 2 chicks at one time. Also, we've got Lee Daniels, creator of Empire. He's 65. And Clarence Gilliard. He would have been 69, but he passed away in 2022. He was Theo the hacker in Die Hard. Remember, he's one of the first one. He was Jimmy. He was Jimmy on Walker, Texas Ranger. Conrad on the original Matlock as well. And also, he's Sundown in Top Gun. The dude that rides in the back of the jet. Thank you. Christmas birthdays today. Yeah. Top Gun's racist.
The only black.
Yeah.
What's that, Trey?
The only black dude.
The only guy.
black dude. And the only time you ever got to see him fly was after a white dude died. Makes you wonder why he was there at all. Probably affirmative action selection. Anyway, Christmas birthdays. Justin Trudeau, the Canadian Prime Minister, he's 53. Singer Annie Lennox from the Eurythmics is 70. Karl Rove, former presidential advisor, is 74. Country singer Steve Wariner is 70. Barbara Mandrell is 76. Sissy Spacek is 75. Larry Zonka is 78. And Gary Sandy, who famously played Andy Travis on WKRP in Cincinnati, turns 79. Oh, and also Jesus of Nazareth. Today is his birthday, but he stopped having birthdays at the age of 33. If he were alive today, he would be roughly 2024. Pretty easy birthday math right there.
Not born in December.
Also not born in December. Yeah. That's the beauty of like the story of the heist of Saint Nick. The nativity story, the birth of Jesus, the killing Jesus, like all these things, they're a little fluid on the timeline. I think with Jesus being killed and the resurrection, I think that time of year is pretty accurate. I think that's on point. Sorry for the pun. But his actual birthday was moved by the church to coincide with pagan rituals to convert.
It wasn't even really the church. It was the Council of Nicaea, but
church people.
They pieced the Bible together, but the Catholic Church actually moved all the dates over for like Easter and Christmas.
I think Easter was pretty accurate. Isn't that right, Trey?
Yeah.
Well, see, Christmas needed to be moved because you don't want to have two gift-giving holidays that close together.
Well, I mean, it's Christ's Mass, so that's where the term comes from.
No kidding.
Yeah. So that's where it was supposed to be.
Wait,
that's
hang
why
on, Trey. Are you being a dick when you say it like that?
Yeah.
Or are you being honest, like impressed that you didn't know that?
No, I knew that.
Of course,
it was supposed to be. It's generally considered it was in September. It's like,
yeah.
But when they fused everything together, they had to appease the pagans, and so it's
before
murdering them. It's why the crucifixion, and an Easter bunny somehow go hand in hand.
Yeah, you should also read a great book called Jesus Died in India. Yeah.
What'd you do?
Yeah, you really want that smoke?
My dad was there, apparently.
Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
Recently, a new client called me and started by saying, "Mr. Morgan, I really need your help, but I'm just a nobody." Those words stunned me, and I immediately called him back, and we're now helping him and his family after a terrible accident. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan, Everybody who comes to our firm at their time of need is a somebody. I grew up poor, but my grandmother was like a queen to us. At Morgan & Morgan, our goal is to level the playing field for you and your family at your time of need. The insurance company has unlimited money and resources. You need a firm who can fight them toe-to-toe. For right at 30 years, we have fought them in courtrooms throughout America. Our results speak for themselves. And always remember this, everybody is a somebody, and nobody is a nobody. Visit forthepeople.com to learn about our firm, Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
You're in the Treehouse. Visit us online at treehouseonair.com.
You are in the Treehouse on our very special Christmas edition. I'm Dan, along with Trey and Raj, and I have two pieces of excellent information before we close the Treehouse for the remainder of the holiday season. The first of which is Trey has a few more Festivus complaints to share with us. But first is the second good news I have for you. I have for you today, because I wanted to do it last year, but Barnes & Noble really sucks at online book ordering compared to Amazon. So I now share with you the book, the story, Hookers and Blow Save Christmas, a holiday reading. This is a real book, by the way. This, like, I didn't just make this on my own. Hookers and Blow Save Christmas, written and illustrated by Monty C. Pepin, or Pepin if he's French. It was Christmas Eve in the small town of Pleasant. Everyone was excited to soon open their presents. The weather was cold with deep piles of snow. Police Officer Bob called Hookers and Blow. Tom Transport is loaded with cards, candy, and gifts, but broke down out of town and is stuck in snowdrifts. We need all of these presents for the big party today. No problem, said Hookers. We can help right away. The snow was quite deep and covered the road. Blow got to work blowing and could handle the load. They traveled down Main Street and straight out of town, drove up on Mount Dexter, then all the way down. Just round the bend, Tom Transport soon did appear, all covered in snow, right up to his mirrors. Blow cleared away the snow. It didn't take long. Now Hookers could check what might have gone wrong. Hookers reached round and popped up Tom's big hood, attached booster cables and said, "Crank it real good." Tom stuttered and sputtered, then started to groan. His tired old engine, it just might be blown. Tom moaned, the snow and the hills were maybe too much. I might have broken a piston and wore out the clutch. No problem, said Hookers. I'm a big tow truck, you see. We'll get to town quickly, you, Blow, and me. With Tom mounted on Hookers, Blow plowed through the snow. They headed for town, driving careful and slow. Hookers got on the radio and called up ahead. Police Officer Bob, we have Tom, but his engine is dead. The snow keeps on falling. Blow is blowing real hard. But we'll get there in time with candy, presents, and cards. Across bridges and train tracks, Blow leading the way. Up and down old Mount Dexter, they soon made up the delay. They drove straight up Main Street while everyone smiled. Tom loaded with presents for each and every child. They arrived at the party, and there was a great cheer, for Hookers and Blow had made it the best day of the year. Two fantastic stories inside the Treehouse for your Christmas enjoyment.
Some Matt Gates Christmas.
His Amazon wish list is pretty transparent. And that's not all, because we want to wrap up our very special Christmas edition of the Treehouse today with just a few more of Trey's Festivus complaints.
This one will be near and dear to everyone.
Okay.
Why does every bar have to have a theme? Can't the theme just be getting drunk? This next one comes from Milton.
No. Hang on. That needs
applause.
and a salute. Like, yeah. Well said.
This next one comes from Milton. They don't sell only one sock in stores. I'm only short one sock. Why am I forced to buy two?
That's actually a really good idea. Someone just needs to start selling one sock, multiple colors, so you can find one to replace the one that you lost.
And the final one, and remember, this comes from Florida.
Okay.
Since when are banned books such a problem? And who wants to read a banned book anyway? What happened to just listening to the radio or watching them march during halftime?
Took me a second, but I got there. Oh, thank you for sharing those with us today, Trey. We appreciate that. It's been a fun year inside the Treehouse, and 2025 promises to be bigger and better, and we look forward to growing with you. Have a wonderful holiday season. We'll see you back here in 2025 inside the Treehouse.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.